Anyway, the Dutch Republic tried to stay neutral at first. Classic Dutch move. But by 1747, the French had invaded Flanders, threatening the very Dutch borders. Not this Flanders, ogly doggly, this Flanders. And suddenly, neutrality wasn't cutting it. The Republic was panicking. The government was deadlocked. And there was shouting in the streets. There were pamphlets. You know, it's serious when the pamphlets come out. So, what did they do? They turned to a familiar name, the House of Orange, specifically William the 15th, the current Prince of Orange. He'd been the stadtholder, a kind of Dutch leader for hire, but only in a few provinces. In 1747, the Dutch people said, "That's it, you're in charge of everything, forever." Effective immediately. Hello, coin connoisseurs. Welcome back to Coin Story, the podcast where metal meets royal succession. I'm Pete, and today we're trotted into history on horseback, literally, because today's feature isn't just a coin, it's a 1747 bronze medal struck in honor of the House of Orange-Nassau. This beautiful medal with a slightly rubbed obverse was struck in the middle of a European crisis filled with royal power plays, invading armies, and the dramatic Latin inscriptions. And yes, it features a lion with a sword because who doesn't like a lion that goes stabby stabby? Now let's take a look. On the obverse, we see William the 15th of Orange-Nassau sitting proudly on horseback with a lack of face. Cape fluttering in the wind, he looks just like he rode out of a very patriotic oil painting. The Latin inscription around the edge says, or translates to, William Charles Henry Frisso, Prince of Orange, Stadtholder, Admiral, and Captain General of the 7 provinces. You know, just your average Dutch job title. Modest, concise, and only takes up half a medal. Now let's flip it over to the reverse. You've got a Dutch lion standing tall, one paw holding a sword, the other a liberty cap on a stick, as if it just liberated a small republic and is now posing for its album cover. Behind it, dramatic rays of sunlight pierce through the clouds like a visual soundtrack to a revolution. Beneath the lion, in Latin it translates to, "Our union is our strength," which is basically the ancient equivalent of teamwork makes the dream work, but with more fur and bronze. And at the bottom, the year 1747. Now here's the real story behind the shine. Why this medal? Why 1747? And what was going on in the world that made a bronze disc with a horseman and a lion the hot new item in the Dutch Republic? Well, let me take you back to the middle of the War of the Austrian Succession, which sounds like a niche Baroque opera, but it was actually a full-blown continental brawl. See, in 1740, the Holy Roman Emperor Charles VI died without a male heir. He had a daughter, Maria Theresa, who he arranged to inherit his lands because, running an empire is only slightly complicated. He even got other European powers to sign something called the Pragmatic Sanction, promising to respect her claim. And as you can probably guess, they did not respect her claim. So, faster than you could say schnitzel, war broke out. Austria, Britain, and the Dutch Republic on one side, France, Prussia, and other players on the other. Everybody wants a piece of Austria, and poor Maria Theresa had to fight off half of Europe while also inventing modern stagecraft and raising 16 children. That's not a joke, 16. It's a good thing she had a fantastic summer home. Anyway, the Dutch Republic tried to stay neutral at first. Classic Dutch move. But by 1747, the French had invaded Flanders, threatening the very Dutch borders. Not this Flanders, ogly doggly, this Flanders. And suddenly, neutrality wasn't cutting it. The Republic was panicking. The government was deadlocked. And there was shouting in the streets. There were pamphlets. You know, it's serious when the pamphlets come out. So, what did they do? They turned to a familiar name, the House of Orange, specifically William the 15th, the current Prince of Orange. He'd been a stadtholder, a kind of Dutch leader for hire, but only in a few provinces. In 1747, the Dutch people said, "That's it, you're in charge of everything forever," effective immediately. They made him hereditary stadtholder of all 7 provinces. First time ever. A whole new level of Dutch federal emergency. And to mark this moment, they struck medals like this one, not just as souvenirs, though people were trading them, but as political statements. Look who's in charge now. He's on a horse. There's a lion. Everything's going to be fine, I think. It's basically 18th century PR. Now, fast forward about 200 years, and things get even more interesting. Let's compare William the 15th to one of his most famous descendants, Queen Wilhelmina, during the Second World War. William the 15th faced political collapse and the threat of French invasion. Wilhelmina faced Nazi Germany. William got a medal. Wilhelmina got exiled to London, where she broadcast resistance speeches back into the Netherlands and kept the national spirit alive over the radio. She didn't ride on a horse, she rode the airwaves. And while William raised a sword, Wilhelmina raised morale for the entire country. And the final difference is that my grandfather was not trying to capture William the 15th. Check out episode 10 if you're interested in watching my grandfather trying to capture the Queen of the Netherlands during World War II. This medal tells the story of a Republican crisis, a leader on horseback, a lion roaring in defiance, and people clinging to the unity as their greatest strength. This isn't just a medal, it's a message in Latin with lions. And that, my friends, is how the Dutch people turned the power struggle into a pocket sized political drama. Until next time, I'm Pete, reminding you every coin has a life and story to tell if you're patient enough to listen. Welcome to Coin Story. I'm Pete. Coin Story focuses on the history of a single coin. Coins move through the ages from hand to hand and from decade to century. These coins represent the work and culture of the people that own them. Every coin has a story to tell if you're patient enough to listen. Take a little time out of your day and join me for a walk back in time. Every coin has a life, and each coin tells a story.